People say Man United have fallen off. They say the club is finished, the squad is average, the era of world-class players is over. Yet somehow they still miss the obvious truth that has been in front of them for years. United have one player who's carried them through chaos, one player who's been elite season after season, and one player who's judged completely differently from every other midfielder in the Premier League. That player is Bruno Fernandes. And the craziest part is that outside the United fan base, people still refuse to give him the respect he deserves. Bruno is one of the most misunderstood players in modern football. The way rivals talk about him shows it. They call him a merchant for penalties even though his creativity and end product do not depend on them. They make jokes about him complaining to referees or showing emotion as if passion suddenly became a weakness. They banter him for shouting, for demanding more, for carrying too much. It's almost as if people have decided that Bruno cannot be world class because he shows visible frustration or because he refuses to accept mediocrity from himself or his teammates. But here's the truth. If Bruno played for a team like Man City or Arsenal, there would be no debate. They would be calling him a genius. They would celebrate every pass. They would talk about his mentality as elite leadership. They would not say he whines. They would say he demands the highest standards. That is where the underrating begins. Bruno's passion is used against him while other players are praised for less intensity and less output. Think about how midfielders in rival clubs are treated. Think about Martin Odegaard, for example, a fantastic player, a technically brilliant player, loved by the media, yet when you compare their influence, their leadership and their end product, Bruno outperforms him in almost every category. Bruno creates more chances, contributes more goals and takes on more responsibility in a far weaker team. But Odegaard is described as elegant, as classy, as composed. Bruno is called erratic, emotional and untidy. This is a double standard. It is a difference in narrative, not a difference in quality. Rival fans have decided they prefer Odegaard because he fits their idea of a perfect modern midfielder. Bruno does not fit that image, so they underrate him even when the evidence contradicts the narrative. The same thing happens when people compare him to Declan Rice, Enzo Fernandez, McAllister, or almost any midfielder in the league. They will praise every small detail in those players, while Bruno's massive influence is treated as normal or expected. They talk about Bruno's mistakes for weeks, but they stay silent on his match-winning contributions. It is a selective memory. Here is what makes Bruno different. He takes responsibility that most players cannot handle. At Man United, he's not playing in a perfectly drilled system. He's not surrounded by 7 or 8 players who move the ball the same way every week. He's not benefiting from the best defensive structure or the strongest transitions. Instead, Bruno's playing in a team that constantly needs rescuing. And he rescues them. He scores when they need a goal. He creates when the team cannot find a way through. He presses when the others switch off. He plays every minute because United fall apart without him. His goals, assists and chances created tell one story, but his impact tells another. Bruno is not just productive, he's essential to how United play. There are matches where he literally holds United together by himself. He moves into deeper areas to progress the ball, he joins the front line to make runs in behind, he presses like a forward and tackles like a midfielder. He's everywhere because he has to be. And this is where the underrating becomes unbelievable. People see him doing 4 jobs at once, and instead of praising him for that, they criticize him for not being perfect in all 4 roles. That is like judging someone for being a world-class swimmer, world-class runner and world-class cyclist, but complaining because they're not perfect in all 3 simultaneously. Bruno is elite because he's willing to take risks in a team that needs risks. He's elite because he will attempt passes that the others are scared of trying. He is elite because he will suffer through bad spells in a match and still step up in decisive moments. That mentality is rare. If there has ever been a season that exposed how much Bruno carries Man United, it was the 24-25 campaign. United often lacked rhythm and identity, but Bruno still kept the attack alive. He still ended the league season with strong totals for goals and assists, and he led the entire Premier League in chances created. This was not a team that made life easy for him. This was not a season where the system carried him. If anything, he carried the system. He carried the transitions, the final third, and the build-up. When United struggled to break through low blocks, Bruno forced openings. When United lost the midfield battle, he dropped deeper to regain control. When the team looked flat or lacked urgency, he was the one demanding intensity. His influence in Europe was even clearer. He scored crucial goals, delivered decisive assists, and stepped up in knockout moments when pressure was at its highest. It felt as if though every meaningful moment ran through him. United simply did not function without him. This is why the fan base sees him as a leader long before the media recognizes it. He's not leading with PR, he's leading on the pitch. He's leading with availability, with responsibility, with output, and with mentality. There are a few reasons rivals underrate Bruno. First, they do not like emotional players unless those players play for their own club. They call him a crybaby for showing passion, yet the same fans will defend their own players when they show even worse reactions. It is bias disguised as banter. Second, Bruno plays for Man United. United have been struggling, so the rival fans enjoy downplaying anything positive from the club. It is easier to laugh at Bruno than admit that United still have one of the best midfielders in the world. Third, Bruno does not play in a way that fits modern obsession with elegance. His movement is chaotic, his energy is relentless, and his decision-making is aggressive. But this chaos creates goals, this chaos creates chances, and this chaos wins matches. Rival fans dislike him because he is effective, not because he is lacking quality. And finally, people underrate Bruno because he has been brilliant for so long that his excellence is now expected. They take his contributions for granted because they see them every single season. When you consider everything he's delivered, everything he's carried, and everything he has held together, Bruno Fernandes becomes the clear answer to one question. Who is Manchester United's best signing since Sir Alex Ferguson retired? It is him, no debate. He brought identity back to the midfield. He restored leadership to the dressing room. He gave the club belief during the darkest stretches of the decade. He delivered elite output in a team far less equipped than squads of United's rivals. He carried expectations that were far heavier than anyone realized. Bruno Fernandes is not just underrated, he is underappreciated, undervalued, and underrecognized by anyone who does not watch United closely. But inside the club and among the fan base, his importance is undeniable. If the world refuses to rate him, history will. When this era of Man United football is remembered, Bruno Fernandes will stand as the player who sustained the club, carried the creative burden, and delivered world-class output even when everything around him was unstable. He became the heartbeat of a struggling giant and kept it alive. He is the icon of the post-Ferguson era. He's the leader of the modern United team. He's the most important signing of the last decade, and he is unquestionably one of the most underrated players in world football.